Payday 2 is my favorite game of all time. I think I've made that pretty clear considering where my channel is headed. I have around 500 hours on the game with Steam, Xbox One, Xbox 360, and PS4 all combined, and also have 200 hours on Payday 3. Not the biggest flex in the world, but I will take it. So, when I got the chance to play Payday the Heist, the game that started it all, I was pretty excited. I wanted to play the game that started my favorite franchise of all time. So, it had to be good, right? Oh my goodness, Payday the Heist is amazing. And I genuinely do not think people give it as much credit as it deserves. For starters, it has this more grungy aesthetic. A lot of the songs are more heavy and thematic for what heist they take place in. For instance, the song Stone Cold, which plays during the Green Bridge heist. Simon Viklund strikes again, perfecting the tone and matching it perfectly to the heist's atmosphere. A rainy, dark evening filled with horrific acts of violence. My favorite. Even the song that plays on the menu feels just dark and almost foreboding, like it's a group of trained professionals getting ready to, rob a bank, because that's kind of what it is. That leads me into this segment, identity and tone. Payday the Heist has a lot more of a clear identity than Payday 2. While 2 has heists like Goat Simulator and DLC like the H3H3 character pack, Payday the Heist has heists that are just gross and icky like Greenbridge or Slaughterhouse, or sanitized and almost foreboding heists like the Diamond Heist or First World Bank. These play into two main themes that I've seen from the game. Righteous thievery, aka like stealing from the rich with heists like First World Bank and the Diamond Heist. Counterfeit, kind of undercover, that type of thing. But also not being afraid to show the darker stuff of the criminal underworld with stuff like Undercover, again, Heat Street, No Mercy, and even Panic Room. The game pulls off these vibes perfectly with heists like the Diamond Heist. They're almost sanitized and clean for the public, but under the hood are horrible companies with even worse people heading them. While heists like Heat Street, where you chase down your old escape man who tried to steal your loot, show the brutality of the criminal underworld. He's chained to the briefcase full of the loot on his wrist, and in order to get him out, you need to burn him alive in the car to get out. And when he exits, he is messed up. Part of his ear has just been kind of torn off. He has burn marks all over himself. A chunk of his head is missing. Stuff like that. Once you escort him to the helicopter, it's implied that his hand is either sawn off or broken to get the briefcase off, and he's beaten up by Hoxton multiple times. Speaking of Hoxton, characters. Leader of the gang and the proverbial glue that holds them together, played by Simon Kerr and portrayed by Eric Etabari, I guess, in the live-action parts of Payday 2 and 3, Dallas is the mastermind, the one that plans, divides, and conquers. Growing up in Chicago, Nathan Steele, aka Dallas, and his brother Houston, joined the mob from a very young age. Later, in his 30s, he double-crossed both gangs he was conning, getting a hit placed on him, which he managed to survive. After a while of hiding for 10 years and slowly crippling the American drug trade, he had a sort of midlife crisis and decided he wanted a gang to work with instead of just himself, which is where the other ones come in. The sharpshooter and ghost of the gang, James Hawksworth, otherwise known as Hoxton, is their resident stealth expert. Played by Pete Gold and portrayed by Josh Len, Hoxton was born in... I'm not sure. No one has a set-in-stone answer from what I can gather. Hoxton was a delinquent from day one, constantly getting into fights with brothers, bullies, and even opposing football fans. But it was only at age 19 that he could commit his first robbery of a liquor store. Through these robberies, he honed his craft until he finally met Dallas and joined up with him. Probably. I don't know. The enforcer of the group, the tank, so to speak, Chains, a.k.a. Well, he doesn't have a last name, but he does have a first name, Nicholas. Anyway, growing up, Chains moved in and out of foster homes and juvenile detention centers. Somewhere along the way, he joined up with the Navy SEALs, but inevitably got kicked out relatively quickly due to his itchy trigger finger and abrasive personality. After this, he became a mercenary for the highest bidders. His jobs took him around the world and back, and on the way, he met multiple criminals, which inevitably swept him up into the criminal underworld. From what I can assume, through this, he probably met Dallas and ended up joining up with their gang. Wolf is the technician of the game, dealing with sentries, explosions, and other various tool-related things. But don't let his backstory fool you. Played by Ulf Anderson, I really hope I said that right, Wolf was a law-abiding citizen for around 32 years. He even had a family in Stockholm and a business in software development. Of course, that all changed with the economic slump of the 2000s, where most of his clients left except for one who stayed for a bit, but then left. After this, his family became poor and homeless. Around 2 years later, he ended up snapping, and began to act out the crimes he had seen in his favorite action movies, and in time, became the most violent member of the group. 1 second he could be happy, skipping around as he mows down cops, to foaming at the mouth from sheer anger as he drills into the holes of a dozer's faceplate. He even treats heists like a game, which is why Bane handpicked him, as it meant he lacked fear, regret, and hesitation. These characters all combined to make the Payday gang, the most feared gang in Washington and New York, each member of the gang having a specific role to play in the well-oiled machine that is their heists. Something interesting as well is that each member interacts with each other, whether that be through warning them about smoke, telling them where the vault is, how much thermite they've got, general stuff like that. It gives a real sense of immersion, not like a group of acquaintances just doing a quick job, rather a group of experts pulling off the heists of their lives. It's kind of cool how simple dialogue like this can go a pretty long way. I didn't have a natural way to segment this. Oops. Anyway, the gameplay. How is the gameplay? You know, the thing most people interact with. Well, it's a bit dated, obviously, for a game from 2011. The animations are slow and clunky, but the noises are just meaty and very chunky, which is really nice. Of course, as for the actual gameplay, it isn't a horde shooter like Payday 2 is. It's more methodical. Assault waves feel like real assault waves the SWAT would do in real life. It's a slow trickle. They use assault bombs. Shields and tasers are more prevalent. Dozers are more of a threat. Cloakers don't make a noise to let you know when they're about to dropkick you. Stuff like that. There is no armor system. You get what you get, and you can upgrade it. But it'll take a bit. Speaking of upgrades, you get them through leveling up, not a skill system. You can pick a tree to level up in: Assault, Sharpshooter, Technician, and Support. Each time you level up, you'll gain something new, whether it be an upgrade to a weapon, a new weapon entirely, a new deployable, or an upgrade to said deployable. You level up through cash. There is no way to buy stuff with it, rather it's used as XP. There are also stuff like a camera system, where when you destroy cameras, it, quote, reduces the police's intel on you. This has varying in-heist applications, but I won't go over them. Generally speaking, while clunky at times and dated at others, the game still holds up pretty well considering it's a game from 2011, and not many games with a budget as small as this game's hold up well after around 13 years. The game is still a blast to play, especially if you can get into the mindset and really engage with the roleplay elements of the game. Do I recommend you buy it? As it stands, wait for it to go on sale. The game usually has around 30 to 40 players on a good day. In fact, as of writing this, it has around 22 players currently online, and with a price tag of $15 for a game no one plays that much anymore, it's just not worth it, since the game is best played online with co-op. I didn't have a conclusion to this video. I just really wanted an excuse to gush about how awesome this game is and how well it still holds up, even after, you have two kind of better games after it. So, that's all. Bye.